Yeah, well, let's start. I know still people are joining, and I guess it's a great opportunity nonetheless to start, so we don't keep keeping people waiting. But yeah, Tony, thank you so much for being here. I mean, it's been a webinar I have wanted to do for quite a while with you. Just as a quick introduction, I mean, I have the pleasure today to speak to you, Tony. Tony is a dear friend and also has been building teams in the Philippines for a long time. It says here 12 years, but I actually think it's more than 12 years. I mean, it definitely feels more than 12 years.
It
Maybe
could
we can
be.
touch that a little bit. But in general, I think what's interesting about today and speaking to you is really your experience about building those teams. If I'm not mistaken, with three different companies over the last 12 plus years in the Philippines, and really and not only in the Philippines, also in other areas, including India, as it says here, and then really also building those teams and setting it up relatively quickly and swiftly with very clear targets and goals. So that's something I'm really excited to talk to you about. And yeah, thank you for being here one more time.
No, my pleasure. Look forward to the discussion and sharing information with everybody on the webinar.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, so for everybody who's listening and everybody who will listen afterwards, so the goal today is really to talk to Tony, get his experience, understand also what worked for him, what didn't work for him, what he would have done differently in hindsight. And through that, because of that experience, really understand like how do you build fast growing tech teams and support teams in the Philippines with remote talent. And how do you go about that? You know, how do you set it up swiftly? What do you need to keep in mind when you do it? What are the main things that you need to think about? Like, how do you make sure the performance is there, that you choose the right people, that you have the right culture, that the setup is the correct one, that your partner is also the correct one? Then what's kind of like the practical framework you do there? Now, before we go to that, I do believe we have the Slido page, so everybody can then also ask questions or give you inputs so that we can also capture them later on and also answer those responses. Okay, great. Why don't we go straight into the next slide and straight into that? So, Tony, as I said, you have built teams over the last 12 years. You have at least three different companies, three different setups, three different teams at the end of the day. How was that? What was your experience? How did you go about it?
Yeah,
What
no,
what
my
drove you to
experience
it?
ultimately.
Go ahead. Sorry. Is it?
Nicholas, great question, and you're right. I built teams for three software companies in PH, ranging from 25 up to 50 plus team members, remote. Half my team was there from one of the previous companies I worked for, and it's been good. It's been honestly good. You learn a few things after the first one that everybody should be aware of. For instance, time, when you want to open up your team in the Philippines matters. You don't want to start looking for resources or candidates in like October, November, December timeframe with the plan to hire them in November, December type and open up because you're going to fail, quite frankly, miserably. You want to look at bringing people on in the March April timeframe, for a June start. So there's items like that PEOs don't often share with you about the culture and how people work, and there's reasons why. And I'll share a couple of those. There's 13th month pay that some team members would lose if they jump. And additionally, a lot of the larger companies, your Wells Fargo's, American and European companies, Accenture's of the world offer bonuses for them to stay, and they don't get paid out till January, February. So when they're ready to make the move, it's usually March. Clearly there's ways around there. You can do signing bonuses and things, but you're going to find the Philippine culture is a little more reluctant to just move on till they close it off with their previous company. The talent hasn't been necessarily an issue finding there that I've been very successful with. But you do need a PEO that knows how to recruit, find the people you need, and not just bring a bunch of folks to you to review and interview and waste your time, waste their time. So the PEO truly matters. The PEO being honest up front to you truly matters. about, timeline guiding you and doing a market analysis on the type of folks that you want to hire for your business with the skill set you need.
No, absolutely. And what you just mentioned about the timing of the hiring and the Christmas parties every day. People don't want to even go to interviews. I mean, the volume of interviews that we're hosting right now for clients that have open positions has significantly gone down in the last maybe 10 days, and it's going to continue to go down because people don't want to entertain that, or they're waiting for their bonus, or they're waiting for their 13 month, which needs to be paid before Christmas, and things like that. But I also think you touched upon something that I find very important to also mention or to highlight. Filipinos also like, or in their culture, there is a degree of commitment to the role they have. So they also want to close out certain projects, certain things. They don't want to necessarily go to another option or another opportunity without actually having closed out certain things they're doing right now or certain promises they have made. So I think that also sometimes needs to be taken into consideration when interviewing people and asking them like, hey, how soon can you come? Sometimes they want to help, but they cannot always because they made a promise somewhere else and they want to keep that promise. And I think that's important because you want people like that. You want people that don't just like leave you hanging when they promised you something. So I think that's also something very nice. So one of the things, obviously, with building teams, I mean, in your experience, and I had the fortune of watching you building some of those. You mentioned the interview process and the working with a POE and a partner that really helps you find the right talent quickly and select the right talent, so you don't lose much time. What are like the most critical parts there? Is it like the calibration before with the recruiters? Is it working initially very closely with them? What is your experience there? What worked best for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my experience is if you want to launch, especially sooner, let's say
Hmm.
within 30 days, and I had launched the previous team there within 30 days. There's no question about it. But I knew the gotchas, and what I did is we were working through the contract and agreement because your contract goes to legal, and that could be 2 weeks, that could be 3 weeks, it could even be 30 days to get it signed off. As we were doing that, and Penn Brothers Nicholas was the team I chose to use, but we also had the job descriptions clear, concise. We had the requirements, right, of the type of talent. So before we even finalized the agreement, the recruiting team was already bringing me candidates, having us review them. We were speaking to them, so we understood if they were fitting the skill set we required, or quite frankly, we have gaps, right? Are missing it, and we had to tweak it, and we did have to tweak it. We definitely did, but that was okay because before our agreement was fully signed, we had a corpus, or a group of people that we were getting ready to offer. So we signed, we extended offers, and that started the 30-day clock to get people in. So it's very critical to understand against the market there, right? And a good PEO will be able to do a market analysis where you tell basic salaries and guidelines and all those requirements. And so when you're ready to pull the trigger, you can. And again, the sooner you start, the better. Day one, so, let the PO know this is who I'm looking for, not the PO saying, well, sign first, and then we'll start having our recruiters look for it, and we'll see what we come up with, because you're going to be that can's going to kick down the road, and it may go well beyond 60 days, 90 days to find the folks that you need. And especially depending on the time of year. I will say, March, April, May, June, July, those are the golden months to hire in there. But don't let the PEO dictate to you. Make sure they have your best interests at heart, and are working for you just before you totally commit to them. And a good PEO will do that. I've worked with two there. Clearly, Nicholas and I are good friends, and we've worked together for years. but both of those organizations have done exactly that.
Yeah, no, I remember. I mean, we met when you built a team and you're in the other organization actually, and it was fascinating to watch because at that time I was still working with the Japanese, and my office was next to your office, and I was seeing this like little team of 3 people, and then like two
Yes.
weeks later was a team of 20 people, and then 2 weeks later was a team of I don't know 30, 40 people. It was like, wait a second, how is this happening? That's pretty cool. You run out of space actually.
Yeah.
I remember that
Yeah,
really
it was
really
pretty
quickly.
neat. We did. We did.
Yeah, but that's again, it's a good PO helps you with that and sets it up. I think one of the things though, besides the recruitment and being clear about it and having doing a lot of the work before you commit and sign the contract, I think I would assume one part is the part of finding the talent, but the other part is then the onboarding the talent and being very clear what you want them to do and how to do it. So maybe walk us a little bit through that because I mean, in your case with your experience, you obviously are very clear what you're looking for, what you want them to do, but still that needs to be communicated both to the PEO for the recruitment side, but also I guess to the talent when you're interviewing and when you're like fine tuning that interview
Definitely.
process.
Definitely. Some of this is honestly common sense and straightforward, but the alignment was really simple for me. The Philippines team will have the same skill set as my European team, as my American teams, wherever we have team members, and their KPIs will be the exact same, and their expectations will be the exact same. They won't be treated any differently. So number one, as an organization, they feel part of the team, and they're not being not coming on in a demoted or a lower position, right? The titles,
Yeah, they're not
everything
like a
stays the
second
same.
team or like a
A
lesser
second
team.
team, or
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, secondary, or hey, look, just take the basics, and all the good stuff's going to go to Europe and America. So we treat them the same. The second thing I did is I blended the teams. So all my teams were American, American Filipino, European Filipino. I had Australian teams, Filipino. They were all blended groups. So we could share the knowledge. They understood the KPIs. They understood the expectations, right? And if they didn't, they did really quickly. Because the managers were not, my managers weren't Filipino, to be honest. Most of them, they were American, they were European, and they were driving it.
Hmm.
That allowed us to scale quickly, share knowledge quickly, ensure no person was left behind. Sure, in any company, you always find somebody that doesn't have the skill set you're looking for, and you have to make those decisions. That's no different there. I'll be honest; it's the same
Of
whether
course.
in America as European. But if you have the clear decision making process, they know who their managers are. You don't have a secondary manager. I had a kind of an ops manager in my Philippines team for the big picture, but they were not the folks managing the expectations day to day for my regions. It was the same manager that was in the U.S. with the U.S. team members managing them, and that doesn't mean they visited there. Visiting was centralized. I visited once a quarter or twice a year and held meetings across all the teams. And yeah, I brought managers in from time to time, but that success rate was extremely high. Their CSAT, to be honest, my teams, they got the most CSATs and highest scores out of Manila, and it wasn't a simple product by any means, or basket weaving or anything like that. It is so it was very, very, very successful. And I'll be honest, my CEO and CFO loved it because the second piece of it is the economics side of it. And if you do it right and you scale it right, it's a significant benefit to the organization. And not only on paper because you're working through a PEO, but the dollars side of it as well. So just keep that in the back of your head too. It can be a win-win for team, for company, and your role, to be honest. So
For everybody, yeah. No, but I think thank you for that, Tony. And I think it's interesting, no, because you said you also came twice a year at least. and that those visits were, I guess, also part of building that culture across all the teams you had in different areas. So that there is
I did.
a very important culture component, correct?
It's a very, very important to me. To me, you, it's like your team members. If you know whether they're direct or through a partner, if you're not visiting them, you're not saying the goals, you're not saying the objectives, you're not showing that they're a part of the company and an important part of the company. Why do they want to stay with you? Why do you want to work? Well, like I said, I went to Europe. I went to, I've been to many countries, but Europe and the Philippines twice to three times a year. So, and I spent a week, sometimes 2 weeks there to see everything that was going on. We hosted the Christmas parties and all of those things, as Nicholas knows. But the reality is, it drives performance, it drives success. Doing a hands off, doing video calls, it's not the same. I know COVID changed the world, and we're getting back to more face to face, but the culture again plays big into this. In the Philippines culture, they really want to know they're part of something, and they want to know that you're committed to them. And to be honest, they'll be extremely committed to you if you show that level of respect.
Yeah, no, we see that honestly all the time and every day, and with all our clients. I mean, the most successful teams from what we see. I mean, we have 120 plus clients nowadays, and we really realize, looking at the data and also talking to the people, that the really successful ones, the really stable ones with the lowest amount of churn, highest retention, and the best performance are really the ones where the clients together with us really spend time building that culture. And as a good PEO or we and partner, we try to help that as much as possible to really be part of that. I mean, right now in this time of the year, the team is super busy, like facilitating Christmas parties and other get-togethers and events, and arranging all of those things, because we have obviously a lot of visitors coming in, because Christmas is one of those key moments to actually build that culture and 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 instill that sense, like, listen, you're part of the team. You're not just the B team or the C team. You're part of the A team, and you're important, and we're here, and we want you to be part. So it's really something really interesting to see, and to see in the data also, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and I experienced that firsthand. The first group I opened there, for the first year, I went there like twice. And then the following year, it's like, oh, I'm just going to go there for an annual trip. And we started having attrition of good people, people we didn't want to leave. But we started having attrition, and there were some processes and things that started falling apart, because we kind of, my fault. I put it on autopilot because I thought, hey, we're good here. Then you learn from your mistakes, and you recover. But if you're getting ready to kick off a team, I'd highly recommend that you plan to visit.
Yeah, you build that culture and take it seriously. No, I mean, and
That's
from
right.
our end, we kind of got the same experience. We started 11 years ago, and we also noticed over time that why are some teams going better or more stable and others not. And when we looked at it, as I said, we realized very quickly it's that culture component. And so we try now, and one of the things we created on our end was really looking at that, and your team was one of those, and the work we have done together. It's like, okay, how do we bring, let's say, what Tony does or what certain other people do to everybody? How do we help clients who have never done it, or who don't have the resources, who only have a small team, 1, 2 people, to also have that? And so we came up with something called Hypercare, which I know my team has somewhere here. Oh yeah, there it is. Which basically really is about, how do we create that foundation of a joint culture between the company who is hiring through us and the people they're building, and how do we help bridge that and set it up better. So it's been quite interesting, and when done correctly, we have really seen that it drives retention and it drives performance. And when it's not done correctly, or not done consistently, then you have that improvement, and then it goes down again. And then, as you said, you make mistakes, you need to rebuild it. So it's not as smooth. So it's a kind of an interesting situation. Yeah. How was it for you? I mean, you said yourself, the first time you came, you went through that cycle of realizing, oh, this is not working. I need to spend more on that. I need to go more there, or do more with culture. How was that learning experience for you on your end, actually, with your teams?
Um, very good. I mean, through the two PEOs, the Nicholas, working with Penn Brothers was easier because I knew what I wanted, right? And quite
Yeah.
frankly, you knew what I wanted. The first one was a little tougher. Nicholas probably heard a lot of the conversations I was having with some of the executives in the other company to change how I want to do things to fit. But building that foundation and being ready to go and feed NPH when you're bringing them in. The start date, it doesn't have to be the first day because they're going to be onboarded through the PEO and everything. But if you're that first week, if you can get
Mhm.
there, meet them, and set the tempo, it's a game changer. I will tell you, it is a game changer. You start going out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they're doing calls and they're kind of sitting there and they're trying to find their way around. Not because they don't want to do a good job, they're just not necessarily know what to do. Especially if you're in a
Yeah.
high tech, like all three companies I was in were very high tech, very demanding on the software support side with skill sets. So we wouldn't bring team members in Americas or Europe and just say, "Hey, go do it." We definitely would bring them in for training and sit with them. So it's easier to clearly not. It's not easy to bring team members from the Philippines into the U.S. or Europe as easily because of the visas and things. So you send somebody there and you ramp it.
Yeah.
And set that tempo. When you leave, that tempo continues, right, with the manager, your manager, and performance alignment. All of that's followed my international teams. Everything I did was international, so it worked well. And to be honest, my retention rate was very high. I seldom lost team members to other companies. Um, I can't think of like maybe out of 50 people, I lost maybe one or two a year. Um, Attrition, which is very, almost zero. So on the percentage scale, so it wasn't bad at all.
No, thank you for that. And actually, it's interesting because it seems to be hitting a no, not a nerve, but maybe a tone. I mean, we just got a question actually in the chat, and so the question is actually, at what stage of a customer's life cycle should a client success manager be introduced to maximize the trust? So yeah, I mean, I guess from your perspective, is as quickly as possible, if that can be done. No, but at some stage, it makes sense to put somebody in there and put it there. I mean, I'm assuming I'm reading the question correctly. But that's how I would look at it. It obviously depends also on what size of team you're building. I mean, in your case, Tony, you were very clear from the get-go. You needed a minimum amount of people because that was part of the overall ramping strategy of the company. So
Exactly.
obviously, if you know, okay, I'm going to hire 20, 30 people relatively quickly, you already know, okay, I'm going to put in a manager or put in the necessary supervision and structure. I guess if you only hire one, two people at the
Exactly.
beginning, it's a little bit more tricky. Yeah.
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 So I definitely stair step, right?
Yeah.
I didn't put all my eggs in one basket, so I'd hire five, let it run for a month or two, hire five more, plan to hire 10. And then take a breath and then scale that out over the next year again. So to answer his question, my previous company at about 15, 20, I put in kind of an ops CS manager there, that reported into me directly, at that time. So I had clear view of all the regions because you're running three shifts. And if there's issues, your managers may not have the skill set to deal with PEO or that liability. You don't want that liability. So it came through myself, and, because I understood the culture, I understood the agreement and
Yeah.
everything, and we'd handle it that way. But my manager is really good, and you can definitely find good folks that are driven. But yeah, I would say, to answer your question, you're starting to get 10, 15 people, and you're trying to run three shifts. If you're running one shift, maybe you don't need it. But if you're
Yeah.
running 3 shifts, 7 days a week, right, having weekend coverage, you probably need somebody to corral the team, make sure, I hate to say it, but make sure people are showing up, they're on time. Now, there's things you can do. We
Yeah.
Nicholas knows I was hell bent on putting in biometrics when people came and left. We didn't put up cameras or anything like that. I wasn't going to babysit, but I could get the biometric reports, or my managers could, to ensure people were coming in 3 days a week. It's not that we were babysitting them. It's just that you're not there all the time and you're setting that expectation and back to the tempo, right?
Yeah.
And making sure team members are learning, and you can also see it at times, right? If you're not scaling up as quickly as possible, and you have multiple team members with the same skill sets, specifically in the Philippines, it's slower if you're remote. Filipinos culture, they work very good as a team, and on the high tech side, I have found, I can't speak for all, but on the high tech, very technical side, they work very well together in the office. And quite frankly, even the team I opened up with Nicholas more recently, working the American ship, they wanted to be in the office to work together. We told them they could work from home more. Like there was, I think, a typhoon at one time there. And we told them to work from home. And they go, "Oh, we're already in the office. We're good." I'm like, okay, but you'll get that level of commitment, and
Yeah.
they speak to customers well, they manage customers well, they're driven, they honestly, will be as good as their American counterparts or European counterparts if you do it
So
right.
no, I personally totally believe that and agree with that. I mean, that's why we're doing it, and really, yeah, it's something we have seen, and in the economy also. I mean, the Philippines itself has developed so much over the last 20 years. I mean, when I came the first time in 2005, it was very, very different, and I think it's impressive to see what has been done and what also companies have invested into the Philippine talent. That being said, so actually zooming out a little bit, like not just the Philippines, but building those teams across the globe in different locations. Like, I mean, yes, you can obviously improve cost efficiency, 24/7 coverage, and so on and so forth. But those distinctive teams, what else does it give you, or in your particular case, to the three organizations you have done it? Was there like, I don't know, like does it improve the overall culture? Was there more, more than just cost efficiency that you got out of it, or the organizations got out of that?
Well, yeah, so culture is always top of mind, right, for team and company. So, and the customer experience, 100%. But the other piece is coverage of reducing risk if something
Hmm.
happened or you lost
Like
internet at
redundancies. Yeah.
office or
Yeah.
something. We always were up in running, whether it was a storm that hit Manila or a storm that hit somewhere in Europe. It happens, and you have to be prepared. And customers that have 24/7 support, and at least the industries I have played software, they don't care, right? You can't say, well, we had a storm today, we're out, we'll get back to you tomorrow. We're critical to their infrastructure. So building into Philippines and centralizing there, and then having the Americas, EMEA, APAC is what I did, as part of the team, and blended teams. We never lost a beat. Same thing with holiday coverage. The Philippine teams are actually, they're very good about working their holidays. Some people will take off, but they'll definitely work U.S. holidays, right? If they overline even Christmas, Easter. I used to have to tell people to take off Christmas and Christmas Eve there because they wanted to work. I'm like, no, 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 no. We're like, I'll let one or two people work for emergency situations, but like we don't need everybody there. I had to force them to take off. So it's different. It's different. And yeah,
No,
James
absolutely.
just asked, there's like 25 holidays there. Yeah, James, there are 25 holidays there, but I can guarantee you, if you had a team of 10, probably 8 of them will all work those holidays. They're not going to take off. Yes, there is a holiday pay, but it's not going to break the bank by any means. But they will work holidays. It's some of the holidays, totally admit they're stranger than anything. But it's not been a roadblock whatsoever.
No, no, I agree. I mean, we have seen that also. But yeah, it's funny, because when people, it's like what James just asked, like people look at they Google holidays in the Philippines and they're like, oh my God, this. And then we have also those special holidays, the ones who get announced like 3 days before, which nobody really
Yeah.
knows why, which is always a funny addition. Or we have heavy rains and then suddenly they're like, oh, well, it's raining, so most of the shops are closed, or most of the government offices are closed, so it's a have a holiday or a school holiday. So it's
Right.
more fun in the Philippines, as they say. I mean, it used to be the tagline of the Philippine tourism organization, which I thought it was really fun. Um, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess, I mean, taking James' two questions, he actually asked two questions, and there's another one here about like how to create cultural alignment. So I mean, obviously, the concern of some people is that, how do you deal with holidays? How do you deal with cultural alignment with other Philippines with the outside? How do you deal with the perception that offshoring or building remote teams is either slow or super complicated or, takes a lot of time? I think, I mean, you're proof that if you plan it correctly, if you execute it correctly, if you know what you want from the people, you can actually do it pretty swiftly and pretty smoothly. But I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of you, so Tony. So please, I mean,
Yeah,
what is
no,
your
no.
feedback to this? Yeah.
Yeah, the cultural alignment with the holidays and I've had team members tell me like, well, they're off like I said, 25 days. I'm like, guys, they're going to be working. I know that for a fact. And okay, the first month or so, but once the team see it happens, there was no problem. To be honest, um, Filipinos are pretty easygoing. They're going to be very reserved at the beginning of what they say. They're going to learn and listen, and sometimes you have to poke them to speak up. But once they start sharing that information, and becoming part of the team, it's amazing. And the culture aligns well with the Americas and European markets. I will say, but I just went through this. I recently changed companies, but the last team I built there, initially they were very quiet. By 6 months into it, we couldn't stop them from talking, and they were holding their own with enterprise Fortune 500 customers, walking them through their issues, solving their technical issues. It was very, I don't want to say it was amazing because I expected it, but
Mm.
it just reinforced what I expected to happen
And what you wanted to build at the end of the day. I mean, what you were
and what
planning
I
to
want to
build. Yeah.
build at the end of the day, 100%.
No, but I believe, I mean, I agree with you. And I think, and we have seen that. I mean, you are a perfect example of somebody who came with a plan, who knew exactly what you wanted, had it, and then knew also how, as you said at the beginning, knew also how to like, I wouldn't call it circumvent, but already preempt some of those bottlenecks, some of those challenges and like delays that usually can happen. But we also have seen the opposite. We also had once a case where a company came, they thought that had things planned out. We had the first 5 people ready to be hired, and then they changed their mind, and then they changed the KPIs, and then they had another person who got hired I think this was in Europe, who had a different opinion about who they should. And so then everything kept dragging and dragging. By the time they had the first hire, it was like 7 months later. And it was interesting because they were frustrated, but they were more frustrated with themselves. It wasn't actually the Philippines. It was their systems that were not up to what they needed. Yeah. So it was interesting to watch.
Yeah, I don't think offshoring is too slow or too complicated if you understand and know what you want to build. Look, it's no different than Europe. It's for instance, if you're hiring, it's a 30-day notice period in
Yeah.
PH. That is the norm that is expected. But it's the same in Europe. It's the same in the UK. Okay, the only place it's not really is like the US, where it's 2 weeks, and a lot of people give 30 days anyway because they want to take 2 weeks off to just vacation and then get back to it. But the reality is 30 days is a norm there. If you plan accordingly, and work with your PEO company organization, you can be well down that path and truly open up an org in 30 days. And now there's lots of considerations. You're going to be in office, you're going to do remote. For the companies I built there, they were hybrid. We were 3 days in. Mondays, Fridays are the worst traffic days in the Manila area. Just keep that in mind.
Got it.
So we did
Yep.
Monday, Fridays work from home. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we're in office. Um, that was extremely successful. There are times a year where there's bad weather there. You just be aware of it. The majority of people come in, but some people live on the outskirts, and there is flooding, and it's legit, and you just have to keep that in the back of your mind that yeah, okay, they may be working from home today. Now the infrastructure's gotten good enough there where they can work from home. They have electric and internet yet, so it
Yep.
hasn't been an issue. But at times it could on severe storms. It's like a hurricane hitting the U.S. It has detrimental effects. That happens anywhere in the world. That could happen there. I'm not saying it happens often, but just be prepared that it could. I've had team members get trapped in offices because of typhoons there, and I put them up in hotels. Okay, does that happen often? No, it happened like once in my first 5 years there. So it's very seldom that you get the strangeness. So I don't think it's complexity. It's being committed to doing it, not taking a hands-off approach, not trying to put it on autopilot and say, hey, look, I'm going to call this company, I'm going to send these JDs, they're going to hire people, they're going to manage them, and I'm going to have this great success rate. I would say if that's your approach, it's you're going to fail anywhere. If you're willing to take the time, get your requirements correct, and work with the recruiting team and interview properly. For instance, on my Philippine team members, I had three team members on the initial interview. And there's a reason I did that. I want to put them under pressure, see if they could hold their own. Just like in the US, it's different when you can bring a person in an office and do it. So the reality is, you have total control, and if you get to you can do it in 30 days successfully. It's You just got to be prepared, and you got to check your boxes. And if it's a company like Penn Brothers, they will work with you, they will help you check those boxes, and they will keep in contact with you through every step, and it's very refreshing, and it makes your life very easy.
Yeah, no,
Nicholas
but
knows, for me, I didn't. They were really my arm for HR and hiring and all that. The KPIs, they were aligned. They knew what I was doing. There were issues. We definitely talked and had the data. But for me, we managed the team. We ran the team. We drove the team, and I don't think you ever had a complaint from us, because everybody across the organization that was under me was on the same playing field. So
yeah.
they couldn't complain and say, well, they expect this KPI. It's like, well, no, the Americans and me have the same KPI. That's what they hired you for. So we never had those type of issues.
No, absolutely. And it goes back. I mean, it's really that, like you don't have those issues when you plan for it, when you align accordingly, and when you set up the right culture and the right structure. I mean, I think that's the important also takeaway from that. And obviously, as you
It
said
is.
yourself, I mean, yes, some companies do it themselves, and do it perfectly well, and some companies then run into problems, or they do it with a partner that also doesn't really listen, doesn't understand, or doesn't want to help, because it's just a number. It's just something. I mean, one of the
100%.
things I see sometimes, which really I personally don't like, is those who offer a flat package where you don't actually know how much is the salary and how much stays with the company, and then you really don't know what they're actually really offering the people, and then everybody's frustrated and everybody's unhappy. But anyway, it's unfortunate
That's a valid
sometimes.
point. Let's touch on that. I know we're getting close to time where we want to wrap up, but I think that's a valid point, that understand the salaries, and you should partner with Penn Brothers, discuss it, and offer the true salary, because what they'll do is a lot of POs will package it up, and you're going to get I'm just going to throw out a number like, hey, this person's going to cost you, he's a tier two level, it's going to cost you 30K. Well, then you find out, you will find out because they're pretty open
People
and will
speak,
tell
people
you.
talk. Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
it's significantly less, and you're all the money's going to the PEO, and not to the team member. And you're thinking, hey, this is great. I'm paying 30K. That's a lot cheaper than US, Europe. But the fact is, it's not balanced fair. So definitely understand that. If you have a good PEO, they'll work with you and be on the phone with you and allow you make the offers. So it's even more a more powerful discussion with the team member, and it will turn out good, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Well, thank you for that. I mean, I think we're running out of time, but thank you so much for making the time. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I think it all comes down to really knowing what you want, and figuring it out beforehand a little bit, also doing the right vetting, not only of the people, but also of the partner you're using or the solution you're trying to use, and then making it happen. I mean, but we have seen it. I mean, with you, great example. I mean, three really successful teams, really strong, as you said yourself. They hit their KPIs and their targets, and had their high
Yeah.
retention, super high retention. I mean, that's a perfect example that you can really build great teams in the Philippines and in other countries, to be very honest, and have all those benefits out of it. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to add. I'm not sure, Tony, if you have anything else that you would or you have on your top of your mind. I don't. It's late in
No,
the Philippines, so my brain is fried by now.
Nicholas. Yeah, the only thing I'd offer is if you have questions, feel free to reach out to Penn Brothers or myself. I'm happy to answer them. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me, and I'll be happy to answer those for you, or share my other experiences with you in the area of the Philippines. But it's to be honest, it's a good place. I'm looking to build another team there now. So yeah, we're continually investing. I'm continually investing in talent there. So
No, and also in your experience. I mean, I think that's the other part. No, I mean, obviously for you now, every time you do it again, it becomes smoother and smoother based on the experience you have gained and the knowledge you have also about the cultural things, and that's obviously a big advantage. But I think the goal of this webinar and of this chat actually was also to share a little bit of that experience with anybody who wants to listen to us, and learn from it, and so that we don't it's not just your success, it can also be other people's success. But no, Tony, thank you so much for the time today. It was, as always, a pleasure. I hope to see you soon in the Philippines. I mean, I guess maybe early next year. And
hopefully next year, early next year. Yeah, I'm gonna miss the
yeah, well,
Christmas
this
party this year, but
this year is hard, but early next year. And yeah, it's always great to see you. And thank you so much for making the time.
yeah. And there's a couple other questions popping up here,
Oh, there is?
Nicholas.
Okay,
If yeah,
let me
if you
see.
want to answer them now, or
Let's see. I mean, let's go through them. So the first one is, what's the most effective way to ensure you're hiring the right offshore candidate? I mean, from my end, it really would be that you have a good, if you use a partner like a PEO, that you really make sure that your selection process of the right PEO is vetting their recruitment team. And before you even start working with them, ask them like, okay, give me some examples, give me a guidance on what's the market rate for this talent, what's your process, so you really understand how they do it, what they do it, and how closely they align with you on the recruitment process and on the selection process. Because at the end of the day, you want somebody who is your partner when finding the right talent, not just somebody who throws warm bodies at you and says like, well, this looks like a suitable candidate. Like, here is somebody, or who bombards you with a ton of CVs, because that's just going to make your life miserable and take a lot of time. And that's my opinion. Tony, not sure if you agree with that or you have something different about that
yeah,
take.
yeah. Um, my opinion is don't treat them any differently and interview them the same. They're smart people. If you interview folks in the U.S. or Europe and they have ChatGPT up giving you answers, trust me, the Philippines is going to be no different. So if it's a technical type position, you can do some skill testing, You can time. I've done that to verify. Now I'm more confident now, right?
Yeah.
But originally I did do that. I did have them give them troubleshooting scenarios, software ones where they had to go out to a lab and show me, right? So there's multiple ways, but it's the same as when you're hiring in your local country or wherever you're located. I don't. I've never had to change it. What I've done in the U.S., I've done it there. The only thing I will say I've done maybe slightly different is my initial interviews have three technical people. I just want to make sure the people we hire can handle the pressure of a customer, because we were in again a highly technical
Yeah.
environment, and they would be bombarded from multiple groups, and it was easier in the U.S. and European. I have more confidence in that. So that is the only area where I honestly put three senior people on to get their feedback and put them under a little pressure before they even got to me as a final interviewer or my next level, to make sure, yeah, before we move forward, let's make sure they can handle what we're setting out to do here. But that was my market. That's what I needed, and that's going to vary greatly depending on what you're trying to hire for there. You wouldn't do the
Yeah.
same thing
No.
for like back office.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And then obviously, I mean, I think for me, I guess if you want to build a good team in the Philippines or anywhere, and that doesn't even in the States or in Europe, in wherever you're sitting, hiring is critical, and finding the right talent is critical. And I guess the challenge, obviously, when you do it remotely across half of the globe, for example, in your case, is how do you get the right, let's in this case, partner that is an extension of yours and really finds the people that you're looking for. And also, I mean, as we discussed before, I mean, if you're choosing partners, and ideally also vet them in the sense, not only do you have the right team, but show me what you pay, show me your salary breakdown and stuff like that, because otherwise it can actually be a whole compliance issue. I mean, you and I actually once tried to help somebody where when we looked under the hood, we realized that there was a lot of compliance issues and taxes not paid, and bits and pieces not remitted, and so
Yeah,
that was actually quite sad, to be very honest. Yeah, but anyway, um, okay,
yeah,
we have a
yeah.
bunch
So
of
so
additional.
the best
Go ahead, go
approach
ahead.
for integrating. Now, I was going to say the next question was the best approach to integrating offshore hires. Again, I've never had issues with that. If you bring in like okay, so if you have an existing, let's just use U.S. team because that's where I'm located, and you're hiring like a Philippine PEO team, and all of a sudden your U.S. team's getting nervous, like, oh, you're gonna offshore my job. First of all, you gotta kill that messaging, right? And say no. We are doing this to build out a global team, be more robust, and be able to scale at will in a more effective, efficient way. Um, that doesn't mean we're not hiring in the U.S. and that's the approach I took it. But as far as integrating, so the folks were integrated in, just like we hired a new person in the U.S. They went through the same training I had. We integrated them into the team. It was extremely smooth. Uh, Now, the advantage maybe I had is we were in office and I was with and next to my managers that were doing the integration, and they knew what I expected and they knew I was holding them accountable that this was going to work, right? The first time, first company, yeah, it was a little shaky, but I'll be honest, the second and third company, it was straightforward because we were growing at a rate. We needed people. We wanted good people, and they were in the interview processes, so they knew who were coming on, and so they were excited about pulling them into the team, and they already had the excitement in their local teams that, hey, we're bringing this person on. They're in the Philippines. I interviewed them. They're great. They have the skill sets we need. So the oversight was again from the U.S. or Europe, the local managers, and we really didn't have any problems. To be honest, we didn't have to babysit. We didn't,
Yeah.
and the alignment stayed true, and our success stayed, very positive.
Yeah, no, I can see how we have heard it sometimes. Like so, and often, actually, where one thing stuck out. What you just said is like then the local team gets excited. They're like, "Hey, great, we're bringing somebody on. This is going to be a really good addition to the team. It's going to help us. It's going to make us better and more efficient, and so on and so forth." So I think it's a different way of looking at of building remote teams. It's not obviously a lot of people, as you said yourself, it's like there's initially this fear, oh my God, my job is going to disappear. But if you take away that fear and you start focusing on the positive side and on the opportunities it actually can give you, I think that's actually quite powerful, and it's a great message, and it creates alignment also across the lines, because also the Filipinos are not out to get a job and say like, oh, my job is going to make somebody else's job go away. That's also not what they want. I mean, that will also make them feel um, bad, to be very honest. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. I'll just go through some of these bullets real quick because I
Sure.
can
Thank
answer
you so
them,
much.
and you can too. But what's advantage does offshore offer for companies struggling to access local talent? And I'm guessing that means in your home country, home location. Look, have the PEO do a market analysis on the skill set you need. That will answer your question really quick. If yes, dollars is a component of that. But if you're looking for specific skills, the market analysis that, for instance, Penn Brothers will come back with will give you that answer.
Yeah.
That's hard to say without knowing you can hire the talent you want. If you can hire the talent you want, clearly that you answered your own question, right? That's the advantage. It's not just dollars and culture. You found the talent you need, but the market analysis will do that. In fact, I have Nicholas doing that for me right now for the folks I'm working for. So and they do a good job. Then how can a small company determine whether offshoring makes financial sense? Well, I'm gonna, put out there. What's your P&L? Where are your budgets? So I can almost guarantee you, it makes financial sense. I can't think unless you're just hiring one or two. If you're hiring a group of people, let's say five or more, fiscally, it's going to make sense. Previous companies, I've literally cut, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna be transparent. I cut because I do put it on my CV and stuff. But I cut cost of labor by over a couple $1 million when I built half the team in Manila, and it does make a difference. Now, for me, I was hiring higher skilled people in U.S. and Europe, and then hiring, primarily tier one, tier two, and PH to start. But now a lot of those people are tier three, right? Because they've learned and
Yeah.
they elevate. So it's just
Yeah.
been a benefit. So a small company, it's really headcount cost. I can guarantee you, it's going to be significantly less, unless it depends on the skill set you're looking for. Again, talk to Nicholas. Back office, accounting, things like that. You can really get some really great talent there. Highly technical, you can get good talent there, and everything in between. But you should do the market analysis.
Again. Yeah.
So scan, yeah. So you have a good idea of what you're going to pay. Then you'll know, and that will answer your question very very quickly. Nicholas, like if you're with a good PEO, you're going to understand the exact labor costs, what the PEO fees are on top of it, plus the insurance, the benefits, and you can make it's very quick and easy. It's not hard.
Yeah.
So, what does the first phase of getting started with offshore hiring look like, especially around compliance and taxation? Well, that's the beauty of working through a PEO. versus I forget the term that what's the term they use if you hire them direct, Nick, and they're not paying taxes, Nicholas? There's a term, something
You mean
worker.
like a contractor?
No, well, they contract, but they have a term in the Philippines they use. If you just like somebody says, "Hey, I'm available to work," and you say, "Hey, yeah, I'm going to hire you," and they go, "Yeah, we'll pay our taxes." There is a term. I forget what it's
Yeah,
called. It's like
I
a
mean,
contractor, but
it's type of a contractor. I mean, basically they will do it themselves, but the problem is most of them don't, and so then
yeah,
the
they
whole thing
don't,
becomes
and you
non-compliant.
become
Yeah,
liable.
yeah.
Philippine government will come back on you. So the beauty is when you go through a legitimate PEO like Penn Brothers, all the taxes, everything's taken care of. You have no risk, zero risk on your side, because technically speaking, they're employees of the PEO, not you. And you have 6 months to decide if that person fits.
Yeah.
And at the 6 months, that employee, you'll be asked, like, do you want to regularize this person? Yes or no. And if regularized, they become PEO full-time employees for Nicholas, and and if not, then you either let them go or extend their I don't know the exact term, I forget,
The
but
probation period. Yeah.
the probation period, yeah, it is the same in the word, but you extend that probation period, but you've got 6 months to make a determination or less. You can do it definitely less, but up to 6 months to determine if that person's even going to fit your company. But as far as taxes and hiring offshore, there's no risk to you because all the risk is on, in this case, on Penn Brothers or
And
the
and
PEO
that's
you're
why we
working.
charge a fee to answer the last question. That's where the fee
That
component comes
is.
in. Yeah.
That's why they have legal, and it's not bad having legal because, yeah, it's good to have that behind, on your side and on Penn Brothers' side. It's been very, very. It's a good way to go.
It is. Well, again, thank you so much for going quickly through the questions. Yeah, Tony, I mean, thank you for today. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure as always. As I said, hope to see you after Christmas or after New Year's. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Like I said, if anybody has questions, you can hit me up on
Reach.
LinkedIn, or definitely you can reach out to Penn Brothers. They're helpful. And if Nicholas
Absolutely.
has a direct line to me, we're like I said, we're friends. I'm not doing this because we're friends, because I'm doing it because I believe in the Philippines and I believe in what he's built there. And that's how we, quite frankly, became friends. But the reality is, it's a good place to put talent. It's a good place to hire, and the success is really in your hands to make it work, just like it is at home. So I wish everybody best of luck, and if you have questions, feel free to ask.
Same from our side. Thanks everybody for listening. And I just noticed with this picture that I need a haircut. So thanks everybody. Have a great Christmas season. Thanks, Tony. Have a great night or a
Happy
great day to you.
holidays. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.